So, cheers, guys. Welcome to the tea number 51. Beautiful cups from all over the world. Very cool.
And also cheers to all those who are currently traveling and will watch this later. So we hold everyone in the field.
Yeah, this time it's finally, it seems that it's possible to move a little. So we have quite a number of people who are saying, oh, what an interesting topic. Can't wait for the recording because we're traveling. So I'm happy in my heart that people are actually moving. Beautiful. And we have Lisa joining us as well. So today's topic is going to be about doors and portals.
Mm-hmm.
And this
topic is quite active in our lives very physically because you know that after our floods and things, so it was quite impossible until last week to replace all the broken doors in the two little houses that were devastated by the water. So for some reason it had to wait a whole 6 months. And now during the Lion's Gate, we have our dear friend whose surname is Mr. Door, who is
Porta.
finally Porta. So
portal, door. Mm-hmm.
So I found, that's too much of coincidence that during the Lion's Gate, Mr. Portal is fixing the doors, and literally out of everything else that there was to do, huge attention was put on placing the new doors bigger, better, wider, and completely new.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very active for us.
And then another thing that came from our field that talks about this topic is that we met with some amazing people when we were in Corfu, and actually just being in their field has started to move things and change things in our and their lives. So this gave us another idea about how these portals are present everywhere that we are. So we're going to be talking about that. And then third part is that it's 1 year anniversary of the end of our Make a Wish and Make it Happen course. And we are going to soon announce a reconnection with everybody who was part of that. But it was so cool.
A little catch-up call.
We
received feedbacks of some
what had happened to people's lives in that portal. Mm-hmm. So anyway, portals coming from several directions, and that became our topic for today. So how would you like to start?
Well, let's see how active is the topic of doors in your life. Are the doors closing, opening? Giacomo shared that some Bali doors closed, and so how is it in your life about the doors? Or maybe you have questions or experiences about any kind of openings.
Door passages. Mm-hmm. Physical or non-physical? Yes, Miriam.
Yeah, for me, just being in Bali, I feel more and more that consciousness doors are opening. So that all the time I realize, or often, wow, I'm really looking at things in another way now. And so that goes step by step, but it's kind of over the last 6 months, it's been faster. Yeah. So sometimes when I hear something crazy about the whole situation, I just burst out in laughing instead of getting angry or whatever. So I feel like my response to things is different. I stay calm, I stay light, I stay joyful, and my consciousness is really shifting. Yeah. So that are my portals. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, these are
Even though I feel I'm touched by the death that I just told you and a few other people that I know, so I feel that there's sadness in me right now because I just heard this a few hours ago. So it's yeah, like oh my god, people who are do they pass away sooner now? I mean, you never know for sure, but it's kind of there are many at the moment that I hear about. So yeah, that saddens me a bit.
Well, this is another portal that wants to present itself, and we will then
yeah,
have to talk about that one, which is a portal of coming in and out of the material sphere and disincarnation. So it's interesting to point that out as well. Because one of the key topics for this period is fear of death and fear of that transition, and like usual, sadness and whatever we experience during that time. And Balinese are one beautiful example of people who have a little bit different approach to that transition. So I guess we'll have to include that as well. It's coming strongly. Thank you, Miriam. How about some of you guys? What had happened to your doors and passages?
yeah.
Yes,
Zane has a
Zane.
door that suddenly opened yesterday.
Yes, Zane.
Yes, hi. So basically, I have a lot of portals and doors everywhere, and so it's also on my birthday portal. So I see how I'm adjusting the timeline as much as I want to go forward, as much as there is interference to bring me back. Like even going to Corfu, like the first flight is late, the second flight is late, and then I miss the bus. They're like, I still get there where I need it. It happens, but it's not like, and yeah, I'm still trying to see how to adjust the right timeline, because it feels like I'm in the frame of the portal a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we need to give a little context
Yeah.
for Zane's door, because it was her birthday 2 days ago, and we offered her a retreat in in Greece for this upcoming week. And so it was a door that suddenly opened in front
Because
of,
I still don't know, yeah.
yeah. So she was not aware of what's behind the door, and these adjustments are actually happening when we need to bridge the future timeline that suddenly opens in front of us with the one that we're currently in. So then we have to kind of slowly match the opportunity that has presented itself. And when someone else opens that door, well, the person, of course, has a choice to walk through or not. But if if she's not yet a vibrational match of what the door holds, then there is this, something needs to energetically happen to be able to walk through and get on that other side. So still adjustment phase.
Yeah, I think something is going on with our internet connection. So,
Do you hear us well, or it's cutting?
I think everybody's picture is frozen, so probably it's our connection.
I can actually hear you quite well.
You can. Okay. Well, let's move on, and then we'll adjust as we go. So yeah, that was an example of. So Zane's frequency is adjusting to what's happening over there at that side, and there are some concrete consequences of that going on in real time. So how about
Lisa's Australian door?
yeah.
The big, thick lead door. But I liked what you said about the portal doorway of your physical doorway with my doorway that's right there. That door of my van that I always love to have open in this freezing cold weather that just, I've got to have 50 layers of clothing on, but I'll still sit in the freezing cold state because I don't like shutting the door. So it's like, so my door's open now and it's like layers, but it's quite mild tonight. It's only about 2 degrees outside. It's like, oh gosh. But it's so interesting with Zane saying, and like with how with the comment with what she's, this has come up and this has come open, and the frustration that I've had over, all right, the van's up for sale, I'm ready to go, and it's like, well, you're obviously not ready to go. You're not going to be going until that portal doorway is like this. No, I always seem to get by, we say in Australia, by the skin of your ass. So, or the skin of, like by the skin of your teeth. So it's like, whoa, I just made that through. And whether it's at the right time, that portal needs to be in that, it needs to be lined up perfectly, but it's a little bit, I'm a little bit nervous about, like Zane saying, it was supposed to be free to get through, and it's, supposed to be easy, and it's like, no, I want it to be easy to get through. I don't want for these impediments, because there's, bits and pieces happening in New Zealand that is going into, that rubbish, and it's just about to happen, and it's like, oh no, I don't want my portal to close. So it's like, don't panic, it's all right. You've always got the skin of your ass. That's all you need to get through the portal, is that little bit of, and you'll be fine. So yeah, it's nerve-wracking, but where I am right now, I'm just about to leave this home and go down to the opposite end. It's, I'll take 3 days to get down there, and it's very cool, but it's actually, there's a van seller, a guy that's really, really keen, and it's like, oh, don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. It's all going to happen when it needs to happen. And it's like, just stop your thinky head stuff. Just let it go.
Thinky head.
And I find it really difficult because it drains my energy. It makes me tired. I get excited. I get depressed. Oh. So, yeah, portals. Oh. How to cruise through the portal. I just haven't worked that one out. Or maybe I am cruising through and I don't realise that I'm cruising.
Well, the interesting thing with portals and doors, that sometimes we're just like blown through them or dragged through them, or we fall through
like
them,
a
or
vacuum.
we stumble. So there are more or less elegant ways of navigating doors and portals, and I hope by the end you'll have a little, wow, Jive is joining us with a portal behind.
Actually, exactly passing through the portal, not still fully materialized.
He's in between dimensions, very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. And Anna is saying that you are opening big portal. Tell us about it. So, what was
In
your
Sanur.
portal of the day?
Uh-huh.
Well, hello. I think Sylvia will come soon. Hopefully.
Through the portal.
Yes. Well, we just sat together, and the intention was with the allowance of the material wealth and stuff, but it turned into this drumming, singing, movement. And when I opened my eyes, there was like 20 plus dogs around us, all looking at us, and children and laughter and joy. And we felt like totally in a different space. And I'm still kind of buzzing and hard to explain, but it was so beautiful.
Well,
And
thank you for
Sylvia,
bringing this energy here.
yes, you're welcome.
I so totally feel it. As soon as you started talking, it's like a wave. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. So cool.
So, any other door stories?
Actually,
Yeah.
I've been with Hannah to Goa Gaja a few days ago, and we were the only two. And we've been sitting in the cave, and we've been chanting and singing there, and that was also amazing. Yeah, also for whatever to open up.
Hmm.
Yeah, nobody else was there. Yeah, the
Whoa.
elephant cave. Yeah, so there's been
Amazing.
some singing going on now. I hear Anna and Sylvia and Hannah and I.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Exactly, because the sound is what connects directly the dimension between dimensions, the visible and invisible.
Mm-hmm. Through the frequencies and not words, so like not going all the way around directly through frequencies. So amazing. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Any other portal questions or comments?
Or any other door happenings? Yes, Giacomo.
Yeah, I have really had in the past month or so a really strong feeling that my portals come in the shape of books, and it's knowledge. And I've had my hands on really amazingly strange books that bring knowledge from the past of rituals, of magic, and this and that. And at times I am scared. Too strange for me. I'm scared to read them because they are very the intensity, the vibration of these books. It's really high, and maybe sometimes I wonder if I'm ready to read them. And but I must be, because they fell into my hands, and they came through the mail, and they were available, and I am also ready to understand them. And yeah, to me, portals come more through knowledge than any other means. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Wow.
That's
Thank
all.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Giacomo. This is actually exactly what we want to explore today. And this is in which forms the portal are there, because many times you don't see them. So yeah, wonderful example. Books as portal, knowledge as portal, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really, really cool.
Yeah, the portals are not only the Doctor Strange, like spiraling energy, but portals can be people. It can be books. It can be movie. It can be anything that connects you to the dimension of which you are not yet part of.
Mm-hmm. And like you say, we can be ready or not ready for them. Sometimes we're not ready for a book. And Evie, I can tell you some of her early books that were, from Soviet times, that you got all those books on magic that you're totally not ready to read. So
Yeah, it's interesting speaking about the books and being ready for it. Latvians have a great magic tradition, like folk magic, but that works. Yeah, and those who know how to do it, it actually works. And right after the Soviet Union collapsed, because those books were burned, and heavily destroyed, but people had kept them. They resurfaced again, and they were possible to be bought in auction. And for example, my family, they bought the full series of magical words, for example, like 12 books of just magic spells. And out of curiosity, I took one book, I opened whatever page, and it was about the weather. And a short little thing to say about weather. And as I love sun, I said, oh yes, this is so cool, let's try. But when I saw that it actually worked, I got so scared because I thought, what else is in those 12 volumes? Because the weather words, they worked, but you know, that power and responsibility that comes with it, that's the scary part. And we'll talk about how important it is that the knowledge or training comes together with the skill of knowing how to open portals, because it's not a little deal. When you open one, you need to know how to close it, because otherwise
And
so
also
many things can happen.
need to know the price of the service of opening it. Who had come up with those words, and what is the contract entering in by using them. So there is really interesting layers of information there. Vanita, we saw your hand up, so yeah, please come on and share.
Oh no, I was just going to say that today I had a workshop finally after so long, because we are still in the major lockdown and things, the numbers are, everybody's quite afraid. So finally I did a workshop online. So all my work has been online, but I've not been doing any workshops. So it's interesting to have connected with people or groups of people that I don't usually connect, and somehow this time it was like a whole new group of people. So that was fun, because it's also like doing creative activities online, which is usually I'm doing it on face to face, all this drama bits and fun stuff and games and stuff like that. So it was good in story making and things like that. So it was really fun. So that was interesting. And to get back into doing workshops, it's really something else. It shifted my energy, so to speak, and so that I felt was really good. So just wanted to share that.
So it was a window to the world for you, yeah?
Yeah, definitely it was a window.
So cool to hear.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and so that's of course it's a portal, it's a door, and again the principle of the door is connecting two parts that are normally separate, and this is a huge door. We spoke a little bit about it with Miriam, and we'll touch upon it. That's quite important door.
Yeah, transition at so-called death. So any other sharings? Anything else with doors and portals and passages in your life?
Well, then let's
jump in.
Let's start. And probably let's start with this idea that we have physical doors, the ones that we open and close, the doors of the house, and then the subtle doors that we don't see but we can feel, and then portals, which are like wormholes between two very different spaces. So the physical doors, we take them for granted because they're just there, they have always been there, but energetically they are really a very specific part of the house. You feel what is the difference at the inner side of your door and the outer side of the door, so it clearly limits the space and access to your bubble. And for example, if you live in a flat, in a building, in a city, then you can clearly feel that the door preserves the energy of what's your space from what's somebody else's space, or what's the city space, and also holds the vibration of that place. And for that matter, in Bali, for example, well, when I took over the house, the Green Spirit, the lady couldn't give us the keys because there were no doors. Yeah, and that was very weird, because the idea that anyone can just walk in from the street and just be there and that there are no doors to close, it was very, very uncomfortable for me for many years. I just couldn't get over it. I couldn't install doors because it's like too vast of an area. but that's why Balinese have those gates at the entrance, and they pay very specific attention to the entrance gate and to the doors of the rooms. They, for their sleeping rooms, they will always have a door, no matter what. And you saw how those doors are beautifully carved and intricate and with motifs and everything. It's not just for decoration. I was amazed by Balinese door, and they're very expensive also if you want the carved door. So when we asked deeper, they said because what they put as a meaning in the carving of the door will be how you will feel on the other side of it. So the whole mythology can be carved on the temple door, because that is what gives the quality of the passage between the outside and the inside. That's why whenever they have a little bit of money, they will always put the carved door with motifs and things, because it brings up the whole vibration energy and the frequency of the compound, at least for what they want to connect to. So you see temple doors around the world, full of guardians, dragons, snakes, tigers, whatever. Always it's the door that has these ornaments, because from ancient times they understood the importance of the physical door, which is just a manifestation of the invisible door, which makes that even in an open state, the door that is carved with snakes and tigers, it preserves the purity of the energy inside the temple. And if there were no doors, it would just dissipate. Even if there's like no walls, but there has to be a door, because that is what energetically holds the inside of the temple sacred and a special place, vibrationally different from everything else. And for that matter, Latvians also have very interesting understanding about the doorways. So they don't they carve symbols on the doors, for protection, and many cultures do. But Latvians have this energetic understanding that you don't do important things while standing in the the frame of the door, because it has its own spirit and it's between the dimensions. So for example, we never say goodbye one from one side and one from other side of the door, like either, or you don't hand things over, because it's two different energetic spaces. So we either you come in or I come out, but we don't do it through the door. And I have always felt it as a child, that there's something really awkward hugging within the frame of the door. So if you pay attention and you tune in a little bit while you're standing in the door frame, you will see it's a different energy there. And you don't know exactly what kind of energy it is unless you have ordered it to be the way you want it to be. So, for example, when we realized, because I measured, energetic differences, and I was shocked to understand that they're actually uncontrolled kind of passages for spirits that sit in the doorways and, and just take a little bit of every passage of everyone who comes in and out.
Like a toll.
Yeah, like a toll. A little coin, every time you go in within your door or something like that, you have little energetic toll drop that's like a little tax for the door spirits. So then we kind of change a little bit. You can put a symbol that you want, or just make your stamp in your doorway.
Yeah, intention, like conscious intention, rather than just leaving it to be anything that it would. By making a door itself, want it or not, you create a portal. So then we better do something and make it conscious. Otherwise, it will attract those energies that feel attracted to that passage anyway. So
yeah, because even if the door frame is something like 5 centimeters, but that is an energetic split, and it's used by certain kind of spirits that kind of live in that door frame. And however funny it sounded to me when I actually measured, felt, and saw it, I said, okay, this is actually real. So
Yeah.
That's why ancient traditions always paid attention to how you get in a house and blessing the frames of.
The way how I
windows.
like to imagine it, kind of for it to be more graphical in my mind, is when you know, if you remember how the optical lens work. So there is a picture coming from the inside, and then the projection on the other side is reversed. So that reversal happens in the middle of the lens. So something super important happens in the middle of the lens where the picture is inverted. Well, that's what happens in the moment of the door. So you can imagine that in that one point there is almost like convergence of so many possibilities that are built in every door. So like the infinite squeeze and then the infinite creation. So think about the lens when you go through the door.
And for that matter, for example, like this here is a guest house, so I did all kinds of experiments. Does the quality of the guest change according to what I encode in the gates and the doors? And when I, for example, commanded that the door allows the passage to kind and kind and beautiful guests, and I put my criteria, then suddenly my bookings dropped, and like almost no one could energetically access the place anymore. So then if we don't put the criteria, at least we can say that everybody that passes through this door receives a little blessing. So we can consciously use these passages to whatever is useful for our daily lives, and we have to care about them, as Balinese do when they put the offering at the doorstep at the bottom, and then to the higher up of it. So that's something to pay attention to. And sometimes when when people who do the energy work with spirits, so they encounter that there's an energetic belt. For example, in Bali as well, they do delimit a perimeter that the spirits cannot cross.
We had it very, very clearly actually here in Saint Martin when there was in October when we had this huge flood. Saint Martin, Vesubie, is a town dedicated to Saint Martin, and Saint Martin has been consecrated within almost like the city, little city walls. And literally, when this flood came, everything that was destroyed was just beyond the city walls, and it's really kind of funny when you see it. There was a cemetery that had two parts. One part was outside of city walls, that's all gone, and then the part that was within the city wall has been preserved. So that energetic confinement dedicated to the protector saint is the part of that difference of the energy that completely changes the outcomes of things.
So those are the walls that are put in place through some entities, but for the house, of course, you can do it yourself, and your energy will be the one who makes these things work. And
threshold also.
Threshold, yeah. So the stuck door, entering to lift and enter to leave. Yeah, when you have something with a door, so we've had number of things with doors, handles, windows, doors being stuck or not closing or everything. It's always drawing your attention. So pay super attention whatever is the condition of the doors, because that's it's very symbolic for your spiritual journey or something else that's happening in your life. Because door is this passage. If your door is not properly closing, that means it's like your aura. So is it well maintained and in place, or you have to do some heavy lifting to pump up your aura and be able to resist in different frequencies. So the doors of your aura are chakras, and if you have to lift your door or it's kind of not closing well, you might want to check your inner portals and how well maintained they are. So it's very, very symbolic. So anything that happens with the door, really dig down, follow the thread, and retrieve the message of what that part of the door that's not functioning wants to tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, an element of threshold keeps coming, and this is also what we can see in Balinese portals, that there is always a step before coming in the door. It's also our threshold. So the step, that lower step, represents interaction with lower frequency spirits. And then the upper part, so where we put the offering and all this, is the part that deals with the higher vibration of the entities. So they can also be mapped on our lower chakras versus our higher chakras. So yeah, the threshold.
So in places where you don't have a physical door, so there are still thresholds, and then we call them invisible doors or portals. So the one that Jive has behind him, it looks a little bit like one of these invisible doors in the nature, and of course Celtic people knew all about it and developed a way how you can know where are the doors in the nature. And Bali is full of them. Yeah, like England, Ireland, they are pretty much everywhere. But we even took a course in Damanur with a person that is specialist in gateways, passages, thresholds, and invisible doors. And it was amazing how we can easily just pass by or go through without even realizing that there's an invisible door standing, and if only you would be conscious about it, you could use its function for what it can bring, if you know what you want and if you know how to find it. And in the nature, it's very specific. We can share how a nature door looks like. So there's a threshold, and the threshold will always be some kind of little stone or like earth formation. So it's not quite in the middle of the road, you know. There's always something that separates that area from. It can be a fallen tree, something like that.
There is a different quality of growth on one side than the other. Usually more mushrooms maybe on one side and ferns, and then more regular formations on the other side. There are these clues to detect, but best clue is if we feel their vibration, we totally feel that there is a pull or a push together. Are you talking about the Taiwan one?
Yeah, so it's always in mystical places like Japan, Taiwan. They have these mystical forests where the forest beings are still very active. So the elfic world, the nature spirits, so they're very present because they have been allowed to be there, and the forests are still kind of holding their energy. I'm sure, Lisa, New Zealand is full of them, and there's maybe something you need to find there with those portals, because even when you see, if you have seen the movie Frozen and those little crystal people, yeah, so they're like stones. They look like stones, but when you start interacting with them, you know, they come out and they're like little people. So they usually gather in power places on Earth, of course, but you can detect the area where there is an invisible door by trees growing in circles, and the tree being split in 2 or 3 trunks like that. Yeah, if you see the grove that has trees with unusual amount of those trunks, and they are standing in somewhat of a circle, especially if there's a presence of mushrooms, you have all ingredients for a perfect nature door. And the energy is subtle. It's not going to hit you, But if you understand that you're in a presence of a door, you can respectfully go in a circle and ask the permission, because every circle has a little guardian. Every nature door and portal has a little guardian. Some hugely energetic places have, powerful guardians that will just kick you out if you're not fit for entering the portal. And some places, that are like just chill, nature portals that will take you a little bit to the fairy world. They're very gentle beings, so they don't ask much from you, just the open heart and respect for their world. And there are people who can really feel the fairy energies, so they immediately know like under which tree in where. But for sure those doors are in untamed forests. So it's very rare that it happens in somebody's garden, because the beings cannot really live there. So it's always in places that nature has been left alone for some time. And where can we go through those nature portals? If we respectfully connect and we feel that we're accepted in that portal, actually the wisdom of the nature, this is from where the ancient witches and wizards gathered their information about the plants, about the how to use them, what's edible. They were sitting in the nature portals and just downloading the remedies. So they didn't kind of go and pick randomly and then mix and test and try. They received the whole thing because they just knew in which place to ask for that information. And the plants and the trees always give it, because they are not selfish to keep it for themselves, but they give to the worthy or those who can hear them and who know how to establish that connection with that frequency. And if you want to try, we saw that in those nature portals, the energy is slower than ours. So we have to kind of deeply breathe and calm down, to slow down our vibration to the one that the trees are in and all these beings. So they are in a slower pace than our mind. And then it just starts speaking. And you can understand that you are in a portal if your quality of vision suddenly becomes different. Like it's almost like more crystalline, more colorful. Colors are brighter. Sounds and smells are more intense. And it feels like there's nothing else outside of that space. And you have no idea of the time. So those are the qualities of what you can feel in while being in a nature portal.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There is this. There is also shamanic way to go through it, through going to the upper or lower worlds, which by default actually tune into the frequency of non-ordinary reality. So when we encounter a tree or the area that we like, going to what shamans call the lower world it's not the underworld or anything like this. It is the area in which you can communicate with those beings on the different frequency or the different time speed. And there we connect with the spirit of the place or the spirit of the tree. And we see them at both different places. You see with the eyes on this way, but you see them with that subtle perception on the subtle way, and then connecting the two is the way to communicate with them.
And of course you can go through those portals and journeys right from your bed, yeah. So that journey can happen as well inside. You don't even have to go anywhere, because those same doors, the ones that you see, the ones that you perceive in the forest or in nature, they are also within. So we can journey within our consciousness, because the one and the main function of the door is to separate the two places with different frequency or different dimension. So that is the function of any kind of door or any kind of separation, because if everything was mixed together and we could see all the worlds at the same time, well, then we wouldn't have a clear experience of
Too much information.
Yeah, and it's for the sake of experience, you know, then that their dimensions are separate, but there is a possibility, and which are the doors to navigate in between the separate worlds. So now what happens, that separation was for a reason, because too much information and interaction, and our nervous system is not adapted for that kind of all-inclusiveness. But we have to be very careful these days. Actually, also technology wears out the separation between the dimensions, and all the electromagnetic kind of fields and the powerful fields, they are ripping or wearing out the fabric of separation between dimensions, because they're sending a strong electromagnetic impulse. So given that the doors also are made of frequencies, yeah, so when you reach the frequency that corresponds to the door, well, it opens and you can pass through. And now those electromagnetic devices, sometimes they actually create a mechanical field of that kind of frequency, and that can open the doors that you're maybe not ready to have at home, or maybe someone does an experiment, and like in some labs, or like Tesla labs, they do so many experiments with electromagnetic field, and they're not spiritually aware that these things that are open need also to be closed, because there's a reason why they're separate. And sometimes the beings who live on the other side of this energetic barrier then start coming into this dimension and creating some interferences. Usually it doesn't happen from the higher to the lower, but from the lower to ours. So the portals that have been created by some unskillful spells, invocations, rituals, etc., can open seriously weird doors and create a permanent kind of zone where two dimensions mix. And for humans it feels really weird and bad, and very strange things happen in that area.
Well, you guys living in Bali have probably experienced some of those places where there were people living and doing some sort of unchecked shamanic rituals or things like that. I have personally felt it in that, what was that house called, like artistic house close to Karsa Spa?
Santa Mandala.
Yeah, Santa Mandala. So that was really interesting. When I walked in there, it was some weird frequencies coming together. So I don't know if you had an experience where you walked in a place, but you will feel that something is off, something is super off. So I had to fortify my field in order to be there undisturbed.
Mm-hmm. And for example, when I bought this house where we live, I don't know what had happened before, who and this. So I found many places, specific spots where weird things were happening. Like I would break like 3 objects in the same spot, and things were kind of falling and slipping right in that spot, until we find that it's a door, but it's a door that has been opened and never closed. So all kinds of weird beings could creep in, and of course they cannot inhabit the whole house, but they can inhabit the perimeter in which the hole was created. It's like you unzip something, and then whoever wants to peek in can, but we don't see them. So that's why when we do the energetic clearing for the houses, it's most importantly closing all the doors, portals, gateways, anything that has nothing to do with our dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Plus it traps some beings into our dimension that are not meant to be here, and then they get angry and they want to get out and attract the attention. So it's a whole big it's a whole big topic of what happens with unclosed portals. But one thing that's really worth paying attention to is when you're part of a ritual or some, like random cacao ceremony or something that is not led by someone who energetically follows what's happening, it also opens those doors within you. So, when you're commanded, like, open your heart, let the light in, connect to everything that is, yeah? So you kind of do it because in your head it looks different. But when you listen to the words, open your heart, connect to the whole world, and let it all come in, well, picture how it sounds and who could take it as an invitation besides what image you intend it to be. Because what you think doesn't matter, what you see in your head doesn't matter, but what you say matters. So when you follow somebody's guided meditations or rituals, especially when something is invoked and you are asked to let it in and open your heart, really check what is the field, what's the person's frequency, how are they doing with their health and everything, to make sure that, because they will be the guardians of the door, every ceremony master is actually the keeper of the energy of the ritual. So you have to be sure that the person is the right door through which something can come to you. Yeah. Some people who have like very established high frequency, they don't even have to invoke anything. They are the right door through which others receive blessings just by being in the field.
And this is actually really what we wanted to pay attention also in today's sharing, because those are the portals that are very practical and happen very often in our lives, that we actually come in the contact with a person or maybe a couple that holds that frequency through the work that they have done, that is a possibility for us, opportunity for us to go in the direction in which we wanted to go in our spiritual journey. So being in the presence of, for example, a person like Pepe, now in Greece, had formed this high vibrating field in which we could just feel that so many new things are possible, and they're really like practical openings that we could do something about and create something, create some work, or start playing music, or really do something concrete within. Another example was now that we were traveling in Switzerland, and we were with our friend, with Anna, who is looking for, the field of divine couple. And, we kind of brought in the possibility of divine couple in that space. And this was, well, Anna will share how that had influenced what had happened in her life. But this being in presence of people who are already bringing something that they have worked to get to is an amazing possibility of using a portal that we don't even see as a portal. It's portal of the frequency that the person had reached in their life. And just by their presence, it's there in the field and we can use it.
So, for example, if you want to sharpen your intuition or become clairvoyant, then if you hang out with someone that is super psychic, super intuitive, super clairvoyant, they become a portal through which you can experience and access that capacity faster. So when you sign up for a workshop, you can look at the person. Is it the right door? Is it the right portal that will lead you to where you want to be? For example, if I want to learn singing, I wouldn't go to vocal coach from Music Academy, because I don't think that's the portal that can bring me to where I want to be. But I would find a person that's already kind of singing with divine inspiration and voice, because then she becomes a portal for me to access where she already knows. It's like a ladder. So the person is always a ladder to what is what is their experience, and you can access it by properly connecting from heart to heart. And on the other hand, the ladder can also go down. So if you connect from heart to heart with the person whose ladder is in underground, well, that's also what comes through.
Yeah, the energy will seep out and go downwards.
Yeah.
Music is a great example. When I was playing in a jazz band, that was really, I loved when a certain bass player would come and play with us, because just this amazingness of his atmosphere that he's created with that instrument lifted up all of the musicians. So we played 10 times better because of this one guy bringing that amazing energy with him. And when we are just by ourselves, yeah, we have our regular level, but with that guy, our level just goes through the roof. So amazing what people can bring to our field like that.
Yeah, so that means choosing wisely practitioners, friends, or circles. So if there's a purpose, then know that every person can be a portal or a ladder to what kind of life experience you're looking for. But if you don't have the eyes to see or recognize, you can be sitting right next to the ladder to exactly where you want to be, and still not understand. For example, this happens very often when we travel. You know how much we know about these things, yeah, right? So we can pretty much tell anyone what their life purpose is, and very easy. But for example, we're sitting on a boat in Madeira for the whole day, and right next to us, a group of young people discussing is their purpose in life, and they would so want to know what their life purpose is and how to find it and how to know what is their life purpose. And I just,
and we're sitting right
like
there,
2 centimeters from the girl who is like all about, yeah, but how do I know? Is it astrology? But I don't believe in astrology, and I don't know. I don't want to spend 40 years trying and then understanding that So she was going on, and I was just smiling, because the opportunity to find out in 5 minutes what her life purpose is was sitting 2 centimeters from her.
All it takes is one question, but
Exactly.
we are not allowed to offer if we are not asked.
Or even to suggest, because otherwise it happens if someone else opens the door that you didn't ask for, you might not be ready for that energetic gap between the sudden new opportunity and the state that you're in. So in other circumstances, if the girl was readier, there would be something that opens up that conversation, and she might receive that information that she was looking for. But this is just to say that we always have the doors and the portals right next to us. When you are asking something really from your heart, and then you open the eyes to receive and to see, it's always there, and it has always been there. So our problem is that we expect something really different, like we were asking at some point, we're like, so where are those gurus, where's the real guru? Because we are kind of expecting the guru with a beard and some teacher that comes and instructs, and that he looks in a certain way. But then, for example, a book comes. I mean, yeah, but it's not the same thing. So you keep looking for the guru with the beard, and all that you receive is books or some friends or people. But then when you understand that actually what you were asking for was in that book, or was in that like random meeting at the corner of a coffee table, it was in what your friend said without knowing why and how, it was on that movie or in that TV show that you just watched. So there is this like really, everybody since Rumi poets and Hafiz and every sage and Bible, everyone says knock and it will open. Ask and you shall receive. And we somehow don't believe it, because when we knock,
We expect a certain way that it comes.
It comes with some big bang, or like we expect it somehow differently. But understand that what you've asked for, it comes to you immediately. You don't have to even wait for it. You just have to open the eyes and really, really carefully look around and work on the mental image that you projected together with your request. So when you ask for opportunity, when it comes to opportunities, so there are two things that we have found throughout our work that are very important. When you're asking for a new opportunity, new contract, new job, new offering, new friends, new whatever, boyfriend, and it's not coming as for your criteria, like you asked and it's not there, there's one thing that we need to check. Have you already asked things that you didn't take? Yeah. How many requests have you put out that you were not able to see that you received?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you just stop receiving because you didn't pick up your previous packages. Yeah. Like you asked and, and you just didn't collect them. But they were all given.
Yeah, that is definitely an energetic balance that you're carrying. This is when you asked for things, they came, and you did nothing with them. You carry a depth to the universe that had offered something. However, sincere asking and really sincere readiness to go this time with it fully can delete completely that depth. And it says, okay, even if you didn't show up 1,000 times, the moment that you're really serious about it, come for the 1,001st time and it will be given again. But that sincerity is that makes the difference.
Yeah, which also means that energetically, if you are really wanting to receive something new, you can just clear out, say, yeah, okay, so, well, thank you very much for opportunities that I didn't take, or I didn't see, or I didn't dare, and really make like energetic zero ground to unused opportunities. Or the plans that you were kind of inspired, but then you got scared and you didn't pursue, because after some time they accumulate and they create
like open
this
tabs.
Like a blanket of impossibilities, that opportunities that came your way and you didn't take them, they stay energetically like imprints, and after some number of unused opportunities, it becomes almost like an interference to even see new ones. Yes, Sylvia.
Thank you. I just would like to ask, I can't type, my keyboard went funny. Well, I just would like to ask that, well, if I didn't recognize the opportunity, then obviously it came in a way that I didn't receive it, or I couldn't comprehend, or I didn't get it. So I had no idea that I had unused opportunities. So how can I find out if I'm so-called in energetic death?
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's almost like if I don't speak, let's say, French, but I keep receiving the information in French, I will never be able to get the message.
Exactly. That's a very good point. Because we don't know. As I said, the main interference is that together with the request, we put our image of how it will come about, and we usually imagine like the end result to come our way as we imagine it, and we usually dismiss the middle steps that would actually take us there. So, for example, if we want the divine partner, then we're sitting and waiting for the partner that's already ready and already divine, yeah? And we miss the opportunity on the little kind of weird guy who would trigger us in something that will unlock something else, and the divine guy will be right next or right after him. So when we want something, we're so focused on it coming the way we shaped it that we ignore that what we want is given in installments. Yeah, we're giving the first installment doesn't look like anything of what we asked. So when we ask something, we have to pay attention to what immediately happens the next. And we have to take that opportunity because it might be first of the 3 intermediate steps that will bring us to the end result. Yeah, and that's what usually we're not very good at, because we are looking for
the end result
the
already,
end result
but
already.
we're not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're asking for something that you're not ready for, the first step will come to almost like shake your current state and kind of fortify us to slowly get up to the level from which it's in the same vibrational frequency. So it might be 3 steps from here, and first one might even be unpleasant because it will shatter some of the comfortable positions that we used to have. And usually it is if we are asking for something much higher than what we're ready to receive.
Yeah, so Anne said about you did the ceremony to invoke abundance or something like that. So you know that you have some pile of unused opportunities if you are stuck in some question in your life. Yeah, so that is the sign number 1. And if you keep asking for, like, let's say for example, the abundance, and it's like a stuck area on your life, that means that those opportunities might come, like if you expect money, they might come as the first step would be someone who triggers you so that you have to watch what's up. Like, first thing would be you lose money, actually, yeah, so that you're triggered in the right corner of your being and you can unlock and transmute it. So the abundance, I think, will never come in form of straightforward money in your life. It will come as an opportunity to unlock the blocked corners of yourself that I think more often than not include some loss or some stupid spending that was completely useless and, you know, a little bit enraging, and or something is stolen or broken. So you'll start by losing money or spending more than it's necessary, because that will be what will make you look in the corner that needs to be cleared. So the unused opportunities might have looked exactly like this, like a bad proposal or uninteresting job offer, or someone you don't want to work with. So it always looks worse than good. Yeah. So that's why the timing is very important. We have to see once we have knocked on the door, well, we don't know on which door we knocked, but something will open, and we have to be very present in the moment that the door is opening. You don't, you know, like you push the elevator button and there are like 5 elevators in a row. What do? You don't stand stupidly in front of that one door out of 5. You know that any elevator that comes first will open the door, so you're checking all 5. Yeah. If you would wait just for that one, the one you're standing in front of, well, it will take some time. So when you press the elevator button, check where and what will open first. And just go for it without judgment and accepting that, okay, so this is how...
One step towards what
one
I
step
have
out
asked.
of 3 or one step out of 10 doesn't... we don't know. Because it all depends on how far energetically you are from what you asked for. For example, if you ask for 1 million euros and you are currently at 0, it might be quite a stretch energetically to even embody that much money. So then the first opportunity will be something that will build your resistance, your capacity to receive and to be a good container for that much money. And we don't know what the universe will give you as a task to open that capacity. And the ideas for business, for example, or how to make money are there all the time. but we don't see them if we're not ready for that kind of financial expansion. We just don't see them. It's not like they're not there, they're there, but we don't see them. And we focus on ones that are energetically appropriate for our current state. So that's why if you seriously want to better area of your life, you can start with clearing out and asking, thank you very much, forgive me for everything that I didn't see or didn't receive, and energetically flattening out the ground and starting from zero. So forget about what I didn't see, what I didn't use, what I didn't know how to. And also you can ask, well, don't speak to me in French because I don't understand French. Please, universe, choose the language that I can understand. And that is also an option, we can set our conditions of what is your preferred way of receiving the messages. For us, it's 100% books and movies. So whenever we need to see something, we already know we have this Zoom and antennas ready to, like, we open the book right before the session. I opened Paulo Coelho book. And
what it says is, a blessing rejected becomes a curse. So,
yeah.
How about the direct message about this? And then it says, seize every opportunity that life offers you, because when opportunities go, they take a long time to come back. So these two already are talking about this.
I grabbed the book just before I opened a random page, and out of all possible quotes, well, these two are standing right there. So when you have defined your most understandable channel of receiving the messages, you pay attention to what comes through them. It can be people, it can be the first person you meet, it can be just anything that interacts with you.
I think actually we finally have to make that course about reading the reality, because it will come in every way that reality can speak to you. And we have at some point to learn to read it, because it can come and we think it's French because we didn't learn French, but French is spoken all around in France. So then I'm missing on quite a bit of guidance if I have not taken my effort to learn French.
And for example, many people receive messages through numbers, but they have no idea about what those numbers. I see series of numbers, I see 22, but what does it mean? So if you see that universe is talking to you in a specific way, that means your opportunity, your door also will be somewhere there. Like you would open that. If you are the person that sees the series of numbers all the time, then also the right door will literally have the number, like some specific number on it. We went to Corfu, and everything we touched, everywhere we stayed was 17 number plates, tables, hotel rooms.
Yeah, the scooter,
everything.
Miriam, you had the question.
Yes, thank you. My question is, if you keep asking for something, and even if it's very from the heart, and somehow you don't receive or see the message, let's say for me with a partner, I think, well, maybe it is my purpose in this life to live my life as a single woman, or maybe I didn't request. I'm not really ready yet, or not really from the heart. Like when do you stop asking? If it's maybe meant to be that you have to live your life like that, with a lot of money or without money, or with a partner or without a partner, or whatever. So where is that? Where do you say, okay, I receive, I totally accept my life the way it is?
It's a really, really good question.
Is it a closed door or not open yet door? That's the question.
Yeah. Well, the answer is we already said the answer is, if you still have a question, it means that it is still a topic to look at.
Yeah,
and
it's a
once you
not
don't
open
have a
yet
question
door.
anymore, you have completely you have complete calmness about the question. So if the question is still active, it means there is still something to be looked there. So what we would need to look is, okay, is this an active question? If it is, so then why am I still having this question? You know what I mean?
So for you, because we know a little bit the historics and the background, in the moment where you kept hitting your right foot, so for you those signs and opportunities come through the body, yeah. And when you listen to your body says what it's ready and what it's not ready for, yeah. So, and then you do the body work and something unlocked, and the sexual kind of traumas and ideas or whatever are going out of the body. So, for example, if you have the desire of a partner and there's just a complete desert around you, it means it's not open door yet. But when you ask for it from your heart, then the next step could be completely unrelated to the partner, because like you got that string on your neck and those accidents in the hips and everything happening on the masculine side, yeah. So it's really taking the next thing that falls in your lap in a little bit unusual context, and that will be that first little door that will then lead to the second door and the third door and the fifth door, until it leads to the real door. Because imagine you're standing in front of a high-rise building and you want to get to the room number 3050, yeah. So you cannot just be there, yeah. You have to first open the entry door, then you have to have to take the elevator, then you have the corridor door, yeah. And then you have the reception door and then eventually the fourth door will be exactly what you're looking for. If you're looking for exploring the partnership, for example, that means you only want to get in a building. But if you want a person, then you want a specific room, and there are these gates in between that you need to know how to take, and you need to find the floor, you need a little bit of guidance there, yeah. So this is a little bit how it works, that when you ask and you know your channel, that it will speak to your body. When you put out that request, watch which door opens first, go through it, refocus again, and look what's the next door that comes. After some time of the journey, when you will be vibrational match, it will be just there. It will be the easiest thing ever. And sometimes when we say, oh, I came to this country and all the doors are open for me, connections, people, everything happens, that means that some kind of work or karma has been done already before, and you are already the match to where you're going to. Sometimes, people come to Bali and it's a horror movie for them for a month till they actually connect to someone, and they keep falling from those scooters and having bad houses and having bank cards swallowed by ATM. So you see, this is when you have requested some change. I want to change my life, yeah, like small request, but big things have to fall off. At the stage that you are guys at, you will not need for big drama. You just need to pay attention. But for other people who want to change their life and they think it's beautifully going to come, well, they'll first have to shed quite a bit of their personalities before it can happen. So the difference between a closed door and door that is not yours, it means there is nothing in universe supporting your idea. And then you quickly feel that, there's actually no energy and that idea came from somewhere else. But if there is energy in you, and at least something is happening that way, that means it's a matter of a journey before the right door opens. Probably we should say something about the closed doors.
Closing doors, yeah.
It's important to respect the moment that the doors close for some reason, in a relationship, in a job, in a country, and you need to recognize that moment when the doors close, and you need to respect it, because it's never really according to our plans or what we want to be. Sometimes it's brutal, sometimes it's gradually closing from all sides. But for example, in my career as interior designer, I could have kept going. From my perspective, I could have kept going and doing that and expanding in it. But I didn't know that universe has a little bit other plans for me. So I was frustrated that some things started not happening anymore the way I wanted. But then I understood that, okay, if those doors, I respect the doors that are closing, because there was literally energy was dropping in everything that I wanted to do. And then I was saying, okay, if I encounter the door that's closing in front of my nose, always and always, energetically, there's another door that is opening on the side. So all you need to do is respect the door that has just closed, take a deep breath, look around and see, but what opened in that moment? So when literally the doors of the countries closed in March 2020, we were a little bit in a panic, because the literally doors closed. And then when we took a step back and said, so but what opened? So as Vanita said, in the beginning of the sharing, well, windows to other kinds of connection opened, which is a big deal, because they wouldn't be there if the physical doors were not closed. So the lockdown brought us completely different way of interaction. Even the fact that we're right now in the screen, it would never occur to us if some doors were not closed. So when we learn to respect the closed doors and immediately understand that, when we say, like, when you have a problem, look for opportunity. Well, this is this, that for every closed door, there's a new one that opens. But sometimes we keep banging on the same one and we want to break that back. Well, you can save that energy and really look around and check what else is there, what else is possible.
Yeah.
Especially for relationships, we need to know when something's dead in the water. We need to smell it. We need to know that this is a time to accept and really, really cleanse, let go, make peace, and become available. Because if we have too much noise in our minds about the door that's closing, we have not enough space to see that new door. So that moment of silence in between things is very important, because that's where you can quietly see what has opened.
Yeah, and what has opened could be the inner doors on the inside, not necessarily doors outside. So what we said at the beginning, that those doors in the house are also being reflected inside. This is super important to explore these doors as well.
Mm-hmm. So Lisa, your van door that didn't open in the middle of the night, from inside or outside. So, but you got out from the front. That means that really you can take it as a metaphor that probably your journey is close to the end. Maybe you still have to go through a portal or two, but the van doors are not opening or closing anymore. So there was still one that you could get out of it, but it's really coming to a closure and actually beautifully accepting it and
being grateful for van experience.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Lisa, you had a question.
And I think for Sylvia and Anne, describing that they went to Sanur for the opening of the portal, and just with with discussing, it's like this really takes such finesse. And so what came up when Sylvia was saying, it's about abundance, and it's like throwing. And so the finesse, we talk about, talk about precision, and then not precision, but learning to discern what is the laser like. When do you need to be laser like because this will be thrown up? When do you need to just gently throw it out and the laser will come back? Because the girls, they went and said abundance, and lo and behold, these wonderful dogs came and these laughing children came, and that's like that's what you asked for, ladies. So it's the precision with language, and it's almost struggling with that, because I have this brain that's like, oh, okay, so abundance, then next. It's going from that. I really do lack the finesse with this wandering imaginative brain that just goes. And in essence, and like Sylvia saying this, what was it with the debt? And it's like, oh my God, when I see the debt of wish for this, that'd be great. It's like, holy moly. And then, Evie, you're saying, so, you just put it out there and say, I gift it all back, and, let's start at the blank plate. And it's like, do I do that? Do I just say, thanks, universe, I friggin' have 1,500,000 times that I've put it out in my life, gone, oh, can I have this? And it's like, my debt that's on my back of unused opportunity is huge. And it's like, is this something that is just a broad, hey, universe, thanks very much, can we just start again?
Look at it.
Or does there need to be some finesse like that? I really need to acknowledge. I acknowledge that that's a missed opportunity. I can acknowledge this and this and this. So I'm a very rough cut diamond. There's no finesse at all.
Yeah.
Yes, Lisa.
I would totally look at it as open tabs in Firefox. Like you have 50 open tabs that you have forgotten about it. They're taking part of your bandwidth. So a ritual is literally going to be about closing the whole Firefox down and reopening it again. So all the tabs are going to clear but it has to be an intention. The intention is, okay, thank you for having...
Well, actually, next black moon, next end of the moon cycle, when the cosmic bin comes and says, so do you have something to throw in? Yes, no? Well, you gather all your unused opportunities, unclosed tabs and everything, and you say, well, sorry, I am what I am, and I actually didn't see, and that comes from the heart. So you deal with yourself and with the universe, because universe is so great. As Rumi says, it doesn't matter that you have broken your vows 1,000 times before. Come how you are,
however you
are, and we'll give you the next opportunity. There is no limited amount. When you realize that you've missed opportunities, well, at that moment already it's flattening out the pile of missed opportunities. But we really have to be careful, because especially it works for inspiration. If we want like the business idea or creative inspiration or something, or like, what do I do with my life? These questions, when we're kind of confused about what do I do with my life, that means many hints were given and not taken. So you can make a little fire, you can throw all the unused opportunities. It's like, the gift that you have received and you never placed because you don't have a house. So make a pile, or it's just the energy. It's the energy that you have, and it's not unpacked. So reintegrate it. However it's convenient for your system. You can burn it, you can gift it back, or you can just reabsorb it in a different way. Yeah? Recycle in a way.
Your metaphor with the Firefox it's beautiful because if I've got more than 50 emails sitting in my email, I get really stressed. And nothing delights me more than clicking on trash and seeing the trash emails go to this empty screen. It literally, I get a real kick out of it. And the Firefox things, I can't handle having Firefox tabs. And it's almost like, okay, so what is it about this? That's very scientific and very structured and very real. But here am I with this, hey, can I have this? Loading it in, that I'm actually distracted from all of this missed opportunity that is in the intangible. But I'm very good at having, oh, no, that's got to be, I can't, that fork needs to be washed and put over there. I can't tolerate that. But on the flip side, why am I tolerating this loading of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, another thing that helps, you can go through your regrets. Because regrets are like big missed opportunities. And we will never know what we will never know.
Not that they're so big, they're actually just you deem them important.
Well,
So
they're energetically charged.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, big. Like big regrets that you left or you didn't leave, that you went or you didn't go. So everything that comes in your mind as if I could change something, I would go back and do it. Single it out because it still has quite a bit of energy. And it's very important to make peace with every regret because, well, obviously it is what it is and it brought you to here. So those opportunities still hold the timeline, like a little end for the timeline that was yours and that would lead somewhere. So it's like a parallel corridor with a little door standing still in your consciousness and waiting to be lived. But you know, you can't do that anymore, you know? Things that if you wanted to be a professional ice skater and then you run away from the courses, well, that door is definitely closed, but you have regret that you didn't do that when you could. So it's important to close that timeline, liberate it, and integrate all that possibility that was laid out, integrate it back, and you know.
When they say don't burn your bridges, we say yes, burn your bridges.
Well,
because that opens the more corridors to forward and not back.
I would say retract the bridges, you know, the drawbridge. Well, bring it on your side. So it was what it was, and the lightness of the being when you close these unexplored possibilities, it just liberates a huge amount of potential. So what you didn't do, you didn't. Who you didn't become, you didn't. And being in peace with that is very liberating from all points of view. And you can do it. You can go through the list as many times as you need until you really have no regrets. Yeah. And if it helps, you can listen to Edith Piaf while you're doing that. And just think of her colorful life. That it was so over the top that she didn't have any regrets.
But I regret that I was drunk as a 21-year-old and had a beautiful charm bracelet that fell off my wrist. That's about my only regret. I don't get what regret. It's like, do I need to go searching for regrets? I don't understand. I don't have any regrets because it is what it is. So it's like these missed opportunities, the regret, it's not even there to understand what it means to regret it. I don't, it's like, oh God.
Yeah, well, then what you do, you take the no regret shower, because they're the ones that you don't know about anymore or you have made a mental peace with. But if you would go for a hypnotherapy, the therapist would, it will find you a full bag of regrets. Yeah, I have seen this in those altered states. I mean, gosh, what we hold inside as regrets. No, I'm completely fine, you know, because we're good at, you know, at bullshitting ourselves. Like really, really, we're professional in that. So we have learned how to think correctly. We have learned how to, so we don't have spontaneous
NLPing ourselves.
unchecked regrets, because we know that we're not supposed to have them. But however, washing the subconscious, washing your whole being with no regret shower, however you can think of doing it, will liberate huge amounts of energy. And it's all about the intensity of intention, yeah? So whichever form you need, you can also so pray sincerely from your heart to erase your energetic debt that it works without any other ritualistic elements. But then the second part of what you were saying about the precision, so when we call in abundance, and girls, I don't it's not about you, but you brought the topic, yeah? So when you ask for abundance, you're asking for the entrance into that building door. If you're asking for $1 million, you're asking for a specific room in the building, which will take more steps to get in. And the abundance, of course, it's first abundance is being alive and being, healthy and on a daily basis. So it's not a state that we have to boil it down to what it means. And you guys in Bali, you can have a very easy check for that. If you ask Kadek to bring you abundance, what would he bring? Yeah? Ask Made or Kadek, bring me abundance. And then watch what would they bring. So when you ask something for the universe and you're not specific enough, it could be just anything. If you don't say it in a way that it cannot be misunderstood by even the most non-English speaking person, then you will most likely get it as you asked. But if you ask something in that direction, it will be up to interpretation. So that's about the precision. And abundance is a frequency. It's a inner state of energetics. So you might open yourself energetically to abundance, but then everything that's not resonating with you on that frequency will have to go. And that's why sometimes after these things, the next thing is something very unexpected. So be specific and double check how it sounds, and if anyone would bring you what you requested, if you say that thing out loud. Yeah. So for example, we have an insider joke, a friend that says, every black moon I pray that everything I no longer need disappears from my life or gets off my system, anything I know that no longer serves me. And then we ask, okay, so you have a room full of things and you ask your Kadek, take out everything I no longer need. Yeah? So what would he take out and what would he leave? Just think about it. And that's what you're asking for. It's up to whatever interpretation of what you no longer need. If you don't know what you no longer need, then whatever will be
How will the
taken.
universe know? It's really a big river flowing. Yeah.
So that's why maybe it's better to feel to wait till the moment when you actually know what you want to release, or ask for help, or watch for circumstances, what your reality is telling you that you need to release.
Well, of course, what we really released, what we really transmuted are very super precise things that we have found about ourselves. And that was the cause of huge amount of bother in life that was much wider, but we couldn't command, for example, like not being, I am commanding not to be triggered when, somebody tries to sell me expensive grapes. This is the consequence of me being triggered. I would like to release that I'm not triggered by a dishonest seller, for example. That would not work. Why am I triggered? And then digging and then finding that and then transmuting this inner thing about injustice and feeling injustice in certain situations. That is super precise. This is really a surgery. Getting this out then brings not being triggered by any salesperson at all and ever, because the little cause that was finally surgered out is gone. And this is actually the essence of our work. We really dig for very precise parts of our energetics and our soul that is still holding those little things, and then weeding them out. And when Evia says come back and come back and come back, it means comb with finer comb each time. So what we comb with a very rough pass is important, but then we come again and comb with finer, and then comb with finer yet. And at some level, we feel that we're just not triggered anymore. I mean, even if we want, recently, what was it? I wanted to be triggered and I couldn't manage.
Yeah, so we go to this inside pool, and so Vittoria wearing the
usual American trunks,
beach shorts, and so the guy comes up and says, "No, you need those, the little fancy
European, whatever,
Italian style
speedos, whatever,
speedo swimsuit, and the beautiful what he calls the head condom." And so I said, "My God," I was like, "Oh, okay, we will never have the swim," because I was ready for the drama and no and this and that, and I will never put that on me. And what do you mean? I was ready for the whole set of performance between the the lifeguard and Vittorio, who would never do that, because we don't order him around and don't tell him what to wear, especially the blue
condom, yeah.
and then nothing, and I'm like, will it come later? Or no, he just went to the machine, bought the swimmers.
I was super surprised. It's like,
put the blue thing
wow,
on the
I'm
head.
trying to actually, because these old thoughts are coming. Somebody's telling me what to do, and this is stupid. It makes no sense. What do you mean? This shorts is good. And then it's just, there's nothing coming. It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe this is not really important anymore.
Yeah,
I was really surprised.
Going for the justice and essence of things, of the quality of which swimmers would or would not technically and absolutely work in water, was just gone, and fighting and needing to assert. No, we didn't take a picture. But it was funny, but the pool, is amazing and beautiful. It's in the mountains with a mountain view and the warm water, so it's totally worth it. But when you are not triggered, when you cannot bring out yourself,
I tried.
And he did, and I was like, I'm expecting, I'm ready for drama, and nothing. Somewhere where there was when you push, there would be a red light blinking, and there's no more button. This is when we know that we have found
we read it in
the source.
Yeah, the source of the whole thing. So that's it.
And it actually brings us to the last kind of portals, which are the galactic portals, which are these energetic alignments of planets that come and open the possibilities. We have the individual portals, which are our birthdays, and you remember when we spoke about birthday portals and how important it is to properly do it. We took Zane to do the flyboard, these boots with jets underneath, to propel in the air, because whatever you do in that birthday portal is actually changing the quality of your timeline from that point on. And when we use this opportunity of the personal portal coming, and we see which doors are wanting to close or open within that portal, and when we use the collective portals and see which doors are opening and which doors are closing, this is when we are the most in sync with this opportunity of evolution that we have come here for. So, as always, it's all about awareness, being aware of the permanent opening and closing of the doors, and however much you want to stir your reality, that much more awareness you need to put in observing what's going on within your system, within the galactic realms, within your immediate reality, and with that you can navigate if you want to, or you can just go with the flow by observing, and that's fine too. But people who don't observe and don't pay attention to these things, they might have experience of life that feels like a constant battle, because they don't pay attention to the doors. They're trying, like Aries would do that, they are trying to break the hole in the wall to get through, and it takes a lot of energy. It eventually it works, you know. You can always break the hole in the wall, but eventually just
There.
opening the door kind of seems easier to
Yeah,
me.
breaking the wall just next to the door.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes a little more energy than just opening.
Yeah, like the father of my kids used to do that. Like, the door is right there, I can see it, but no, he insists on breaking the hole next to the door, and with sense of accomplishment and victory, break through that hardly broken hole. And depends on the energy levels of person, of course. I wouldn't have energy for that, but it's a tactique. So let's be mindful of the doors within and without, and understand that some doors might be better stay closed until we're ready to what's behind them. And
shall we say a few things about closing the portal once that we open it? You think it's still important or not so much?
Yeah, so in alchemy school, what we learned was the whole understanding behind opening and closing the circles. And with that depth of knowledge, we understood that it's not a small deal to open and close a circle, or a singing portal or something like that, because if you correctly open the space, you have direct access to and safe space without interference to do what you need to do, to call what you need to call, and to interact. Yeah. And then when you don't close the properly, it's like zipping, unzipping, and then rezipping. It's exactly the same thing. So usually then we're so excited that we just go off, and that energy spreads, and eventually all portals that are not made with like huge magic, they will kind of dissolve themselves. But if they don't, you might leave a trail of this, like the portal follows you where you go, and whatever can come through will come through. So after dowsing, connecting with spirits, medium, or any kind of energy work, usually it works very well with the incense. Well, you would do that in clockwise, because clockwise is a closing movement that kind of shrinks things. You gently ask for all the portals, energies, openings that are no longer needed for this plane of existence to be closed and dissolved, and you physically imagine how things come back to this dimension and completely normal.
We are even doing it before and after doing these meetings with you guys, so it's as important as that, even for this. And not to mention when we are calling in some more powerful energies coming in. So in alchemy school, you're really taught very technically to open a circle, to work within a circle, and then to erase the whole thing. So this is part of procedure, and we have been doing it so many times that it becomes a second nature. You don't forget to close it. That's the thing, because you can imagine that it is. Imagine if you open the whole towards another civilization of super powerful beings that cannot jump in while you are paying attention, but when you take your back to them, they will just jump in and do whatever they want. So it's always interesting to imagine that what we open is a door towards really uncultivated wild energies, and always looking at barking dogs that are, you know, wanting to come and bark and eat something. So what we want to do is make sure that this doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, probably we do pay much attention to these questions because we have physically experienced what happens when you do and when you don't. And I've been working for so long with people who with different psychic interferences, and the origin of most psychic interferences and disturbances in a person's energy field are these unclosed. They have been to a temple that's kind of completely wild and mixed, and it does stay with the person within the energy, and it's a little bit specific to get it out. So being mindful to everything we do and opening the doors when we feel ready to and closing them behind if needed. Voila, so that's what we Jive, question. I love your portal behind.
Yeah, it changed in the meantime.
We
don't hear you, Jive. I'll try to unmute you here. No, you have to do it yourself.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we on?
Yeah,
cool.
We hear you.
I live in an apartment building with about 80. I'm on the 4th floor, and I've shifted apartments twice now. Each time I've got the same bunch of people living on my ceiling, and they're not making noise. I know the first time it sort of freaked me. I thought it was the woman upstairs, you know, scraping furniture, dropping things. But these are really thick floors, and I've tested it myself. And they followed me through 3 apartments now, and I know it's the same crew because it's the same noises, same scraping sounds. Above me is the person's bathroom, so obviously they're not going to be scraping chairs. And I've already actually asked 2 lots of people what they're doing and stuff. And I go upstairs, and they're nowhere near. I go down, and I can hear the same noises, and it sounds like it's right just straight above me. So I'm across the road from an Aboriginal compound where there used to be Aboriginal people that were sort of, I should probably say imprisoned, because they were fenced off and probably not under the greatest conditions. And I was just kind of wondering where it might have been them who have skipped across and who maybe are still a bit lost or whatever. But anyway, that was any thoughts on that would be appreciated.
Yes, great, Jeff. Exactly. So this is what happens sometimes when we're in weird situations, places, or moods. We have a little crew that jumps into our aura. You know, our aura is normally kind of a pretty solid bubble. Yeah. But when for some reason, through fear or any emotional weakness or irritation or anger, aura gets these holes, then the lost souls can, easily swim in and just stay there, and they create this. You hear them as physical noises. So that's the expression of that particular bunch of lost souls. So probably all they want and all they need is to be released and to send back to what's
already tried that a couple of times. Just excuse me for a few seconds. I got to power up. My battery's just about gone
out. So this is a good example of what can happen, and of course we need to do it with someone who can see and discern at which level, in which part of our energetic structure these things are embedded.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, I mean, you can give an example. We had this example at our Bali house that we found out that at this particular land there was a specific black magic priest who was in Palestine, who was doing super powerful rituals for years, and that there were a lot of souls that were trapped there and waited for us to open a specific portal in a specific way and actually escort them, well, allow them to come out, because they would love to get out, but it has to be done in a very specific way.
Yeah. So there's the thing. Once something jumps in your system, you also have a door. Yeah, your aura is the door. So once something is in, they can't necessarily get out. And that's also to be understood. They cannot get out if you don't open the door from inside. It's a one-way door. They can come in, but they can't leave. So
I think you have.
Eleanor,
Yeah.
so this so this is Jai, what you need to understand, that they cannot leave until you open the door for them specifically to leave and invite them to. And if you are not sure how to do that, then you better reach out for assistance to someone who is comfortable with beings and creatures, energetic creatures, so that they will hold the door open for them to fly out.
Okay,
What
we'll
is it?
deal with it.
What about Jove with if you, not yourself, but asking someone to find out what it is that they actually are wanting? They obviously want your attention for some reason, and it mightn't be for portaling out, like our blackfella brethren. Maybe because you're the dude that is there to listen to them, and it's something really specific that they need done, and that you're the fix-it man. If they've followed you around, is it maybe it's not a portal of release, maybe it's something else?
I've been trying to figure that one out too, because a lot of weird stuff obviously went down with the Aboriginal folk and the governments, and all of that stuff. It's not a pretty story. So there's a lot of trauma and also background stuff, as most people sort of know now. And this sort of happened across the road, sort of 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, I suppose. But yeah, they're not making much noise these days, but they're still there. It's just occasionally they'll still let me know that they're there. They'll drop something, or they'll scrape a chair, or they'll just make a bit of noise or something. Say, hi, we're still here.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, I don't actually mind them most of the time. It'd be good if they chipped in with the rent or something, and clean the joint up. But they don't make a mess either. But yeah, there definitely is. There's obviously something there that I haven't quite figured out, and I do have an affinity with the black folk too, and just some dealings with them. I sold my car to one guy who lives on the not reservations here in Arnhem Land. That's their kind of place where they still do stuff, and I think one of the reasons too we don't have a lot of drama or anything with the whole COVID game here is because some of the elders still are still doing their magic and keeping the sort of equilibrium happening here, because we virtually have been untouched apart from a few days. It's like nothing has happened here, almost. Oh, step on the floor and everybody just laughs. What step? Distance? What distance? So it's a very different world, and maybe it's also to focus my attention on these people and a lot of the magic and a lot of the protocols that they do have, or they're capable of, or used to be when they were in their original form.
Yeah.
Still operating from spirit and the dream time.
It's a good idea, Jav, to elaborate the question and to really maybe get together with someone who can interpret them for you, so that you understand how that relationship can evolve. Maybe there's really something. Maybe that's a door sitting there and waiting for you to be open.
I'm feeling that it has to do something also with your music.
And and if, for example, yes. I know that your doors to Bali are sort of closed, so maybe you're really sitting in a corridor, but the door is open right in front of you. So examine and elaborate what that presence is there to do, and if it's just purely nuisance, then get it out, because sometimes the entities also make you stay in a place that's not, that's convenient for them and not for you. So, but to move the question left or right, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Voila. So our time is finished,
Thank you.
and it was beautiful to have you.
Yeah.
Happy portaling. So the Lions Gate portal has just closed. Yesterday was kind of the last little split in the door, and until the next one. Until the next one.
It's been fantastic and so challenging for me because it's so confusing for me. This topic, and speaking of portals and all of this, and how easily misled I am. Just hearing Jave talk about Darwin, talking about the NT, it's like, and when you say, the portal opens up, it's like, wow, there's the portal. I'm going to Darwin. And it's like, no. Oh my God.
Why not?
I know, Jave. Why not?
They can be physical portals too.
Exactly, and actually knowing that what we just said, Paulo Coelho says that says every opportunity that life offers, because when opportunities go, they take a long time to come back. So feeling when something is an opportunity.
I don't agree with that. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be anything. I don't think that's just one point of view, and I actually don't agree with it, to be honest. But I mean, sorry to interrupt, but you've said that twice now, and it's just something. It just doesn't sit with me. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, well, in our experience and work with people, it really does take some time to come back. Because when the signs have been posted everywhere, like my own mother is an example of that, of not stepping up to her power, and which led her to the illness. And like really those opportunities get rarer and rarer. So there are ways to look at that, and usually it's our fear that doesn't allow us to take a leap of something very, very different. And I feel more and more that taking those opportunities when they come can lead us to an experience. We don't know where, we don't know straight away, but it can take us to very unexpected places. And in my life, it has been true every step of the way. That every time I did take opportunity, something extraordinary, more than what I could think of myself, opened up behind that. So just saying that it's very helpful to also sometimes just jump in the water, and then you'll see what happens, and leave it to the universe to surprise you with what's behind the door.
Yeah. What he might mean by this, that they're not coming as often after this, is probably referring to that we have lost the sharpness of vision, and we have habitually forgotten how to look to see the opportunity. So that might be the other side of it. But certainly taking them, and especially like grabbing life for to the horns, and actually just going with it, living life fully. That's I guess what the message of this the whole session is.
So
okay, guys,
here you go.
Beautiful to connect with you once again.
Thank you for spending some time with us and having a cup of tea.
Yes. Really, such a beautiful, enriching experience to have you, and I feel it deeply in the heart. Such gratitude to have all of you present like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
It was wonderful.
Amazing.
Happy
Amazing.
portaling.
Thank you so much.